Okay, so the Mangmi Air X turned up a couple of weeks ago, and just like Shakira, it's got curves in all the right places. What's interesting here though is that this is actually Mangmi's first ever handheld, and after spending some time with it recently, it doesn't actually feel like a first attempt at all. They definitely knocked it out of the park. I can kind of see why it's been getting decent reviews across the board. For me, it's not about the chip inside though, it's not even the price, it's the comfort. This thing is incredibly comfortable to use. And when you pair that with a lovely 5.5 inch 1080p screen for PSP, you've got something that's actually quite special. Especially when it's coming in at around 100 quid, or about $145 for our American friends. There's quite a lot to like here. Now, the retro handheld market right now is bursting at the seams. So much choice, especially PSP style handhelds like this. So at the moment, I'm currently using the PS Vita as my main way to play PSP games, and the difference, not just in screen size but quality, makes playing PSP in the Air X a real treat. And you get all the modern conveniences like fast forward toggle, quick save states, which is nice. Overall, it's a much more comfortable experience for the hands and eyes. Okay, so we need to talk about the design, because the first thing you're going to notice when you take this out of the box is the way it sits in your hands. It's kind of strange really. At this price point, you go in expecting something that feels a bit cheap and plasticky. Now, don't get me wrong, this isn't some ultra premium metal handheld, but it's put together far better than I was expecting. The contouring on the grips is excellent. It feels your hands really nicely, and after a few minutes of using it, you start to realise just how much thought has gone into the ergonomics. Now, of all the PSP style widescreen handhelds out there, stuff like the RG Vita and the Trim UI Smart Pro, in my opinion, the Air X trumps them all, because it's just more comfortable to hold at the end of the day. It kind of feels like a mini version of the Legion Go S I got here. You can see the similar contour lines. It might sound like a small thing, but in my opinion, it plays a huge part in the overall experience. There's Android 14 running the show here, downward facing speakers that sound pretty decent, 3.5mm jack, a back and home button, start and select are on the bottom right and aren't labelled, which kind of threw me off for a second. Also a 5.5 inch 1080p screen here, great colour accuracy, the contrast and general visual pop you get is very decent, I have to say. And because of that, PSP looks absolutely fantastic on it. Don't just take my words for it, take a look for yourself. Let your eyes feast on that for a moment. So you've got Hall effect sticks here, which is a really welcome addition, especially in this price bracket. And they just feel really responsive, just the right amount of give, not too loose, and they're really the gold standard, aren't they? The caps have a nice indentation to them, and your thumbs just naturally sink into that space, really nice. The D-pad, for some reason, they've gone for a very shiny, slippery finish, which I honestly don't like. However, it functions absolutely fine. Perfectly fine pulling off those moves in games like Street Fighter Alpha 3 here. And when you hold it, your fingers naturally land on the triggers, which I really like. The stacked triggers themselves feel solid as well. There's a nice travel to the L2 and R2, the right amount of tension and feedback. The ABXY buttons are totally fine as well. They're not dome switches, but have been enjoyable to use. No complaints on that front. Now moving on to performance, the Mangmi Air X is powered by the Snapdragon 662. Now before anyone starts laughing at that chip, remember what we're dealing with here. This is a budget handheld. And for what it's designed to do, the performance is actually fairly respectable. Everything up to PlayStation 1 is effortless. Dreamcast runs well too. You can get away with some light 3DS and DS, but honestly I wouldn't bother with them on this device. PSP is arguably where this device shines the most. So really, the combination of the widescreen display and the available power kind of makes PSP games look and feel superb. Most games will run best at 2x resolution. You might be able to get away with 3x on some games, so it's trial and error really. And you can set this up as a per game setting as well. But pretty much all the PSP games I wanted to play in here have run fine, so I would say this is a valid option for some upscaled PSP on a really nice screen at this price point. Personally, I would make a couple of changes in the settings to keep things running smoothly. Number 1, enable cheats. Number 2, change the speed here in this setting to 333. I've been enjoying GBA on here as well. I've got the LCDX shader running and it's a great experience, even though I typically prefer to play it on a smaller screen. It's been great catching up with some PS1 classics on here too, and the usual systems like these run absolutely fine too. When you move on to GameCube and PlayStation 2 territory though, that's where you start to see the limitations of this chip. Most games will simply remind you that you're using the Snapdragon 662, but for the lighter titles I think you should be okay. There's also some slight fan noise when it kicks in, nothing major and didn't really bother me, but thought I'd mention it. Okay, so Android gaming has actually been pretty fun on this, because of the bigger screen and the controller support on some games. So Hunt Down on the Switch is one of my favourite games, and it's great to be able to play the Android port here, as you can forget about Switch emulation with the Air X. Now, I never do streaming, but it has been absolutely fine with the Steam Link app installed. No complaints here at all. If there's any latency, I can't see it. So that's really what you can expect as far as gaming goes. A few things which I think could be improved for the next version. Number one, the shiny slippery D-pad they got going on here. This needs changing, I don't like it, but it functions as you would expect. Number two, a pretty simple one really, turn those downward facing speakers to forward facing, please. I think the overall gaming experience would be vastly improved with that small change. Now number three, nothing major really, I just wish there were more colourful options on the table. They're playing it a bit safe with the 3 colour options, a bit too vanilla for me. So who is this handheld actually for? Well, I think this is the best widescreen budget handheld you can get to play PSP right now. That is also the most comfiest to game on. So if you're looking for something like that, this one's for you. Also very good at playing Android and GBA as well. I think the key thing really here is understanding what this device is trying to be. And I think that's where the Air X succeeds. It doesn't overpromise. Instead, it delivers a solid display, good controls, decent performance, and Android flexibility at a price that most people can actually afford. So if PSP and comfort matters to you more, I think you'll be pleased. It's not perfect or revolutionary, but it offers a surprisingly balanced package for the money. And sometimes that's exactly what you want. Just a handheld that does its job well. And the Mangmi Air X appears to do precisely that.